are now tuned in to this week's episode of our podcast. Today, we are going to interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in our field. By sharing our collective expertise, we will show you how to harness...
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. It's an engaging and enlightening talk show on life, relationships, and the business of life. Grab a cup of juice and just chill. Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. Live life. Live fully.
The mission of Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen is to give the audience the well-informed information so that they can make well-informed decisions. We also urge the audience to take necessary action after listening to the insights and the information that they gather from the experts and professionals on the show. Now, on today's show, I have Nicky Billou, who is an international best-selling author, an inspirational speaker, and the host of the #1 podcast in the world on thought leadership, the Thought Leading Revolution. It's a pleasure to have Nicky Billou on the show today.
Omobola, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you, Nicky. Now, I'm looking forward to an exciting and engaging discussion with you. Now, we'll be talking about entrepreneurship and success, such, an important topic for discussion for such time as this. Nicky, you believe that business is not a number game, rather it's a people's game. Why did you say so?
That's a fantastic question. I believe that life is about people in general. I mean, you're here because you're with other people. You're not here to be by yourself, a hermit stuck away somewhere. You're here to interact and engage with people. The good Lord wants us all to live. He wants us to love one another. He wants us to grow and learn and contribute. All those things are super, super important, and you can't do it without people. And business, after all, is nothing more than solving problems for people for profit. That's all business ever was. That's all business ever is going to be. And, if you're a business person, that's what you need to focus on. You need to focus on people and helping them and being someone who wants to make a difference for them. I'll tell you a little bit about my own backstory. I'm originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm from Iran, a Christian from Iran. And when I was a young boy in my country, there was the Islamic Revolution. And when the Islamic Revolution happened, it became harder and harder for us as Christians and non-Muslims to live in a country that was being run basically by folks who wanted to run it across religious lines. And so my late father, God rest his soul, he took us out of Iran. He thought it was better to go live in the West and in an environment where you were going to be around, a free society. And thank God that he did that. And my late father, he was an entrepreneur, and he was all about uplifting people. He always wanted to make other people's lives better. He helped to give a lot of people that started in business, and he was very generous. He would help people out. He would buy them cars and apartments and houses. And you might think to yourself, wow, that's incredible. Why would he do that? Well, number one is he was a Christian and he believed in giving and he being generous and all that. That was very important to him. But number two, he did it because he could. He had the financial means to be able to do that, to help some people out. And, I thought my dad was the greatest man in the world. He was my hero growing up. I wanted to be just like him, but I wanted to help people too. And that's why I became an entrepreneur. And I saw that other entrepreneurs, these are the people just like my father who wanted to help people, uplift them, create jobs for them, create innovations. And I wanted to see them succeed. And I see there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are out there. They're good people, but they're a little bit nervous in business. They're scared to ask for business because they don't want to be coming across as pushy or salesy, or like they reek of commission breath when you come close to them. You know what I mean? So these are the sorts of things that people are dealing with. And, I want to help these people go, you're a good person. You deserve to be successful. Because if you don't have a real conversation with the people that could use your help, then they won't do business with you. They'll do business with someone else. Maybe isn't such a good person, right? Maybe doesn't care about them so much and you lose that business. So I want to help them reframe that from selling, which nobody likes to be sold, to serving, to caring. Everybody loves to serve. Everybody loves to be served. So that's one of the key things that we're trying to do inside the work that we do to help good people succeed, So they're no longer stuck by a belief that selling is somehow bad, and maybe reframe that from selling to serving, because serving is great.
Right. Now I'm happy that you talked about entrepreneurship and also success. So the question I'd like to ask you is some of the world biggest entrepreneurs of our time that we all know about, but what are the things that are doing, or are there something different they're doing that making them to become, successful as entrepreneurs?
Well, that's a great question. So one of the things is that they really know what they're there to do. They know who they're there to help. They have their message dialed down. There's a lot of people who go into business and go, hey, I can help you. Like, for example, life coaches. I can help you with your relationship. No problem. You have a relationship problems. Oh, you need to lose weight? I can help you with that too. I'm a life coach. Or no, you need your business to get better. I'll help you with that too. You're trying to be all things to all people. It doesn't work. I think to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to know who you help and why you help them. So you need to have a really dialed in message. A lot of people don't understand that, right? And that's one of the things that, we really focus on helping people understand is you got to be clear on who you help. You got to narrow your focus, and you got to be clear on how you help them and what problems you solve for them. If you can do that and you can do a good job of that, you're golden.
Right. So do you have any message you'd like to pass across to entrepreneurs like?
Well, yeah, the message is you got to have a powerful differentiating message, like you can't sound like everybody else. I'll tell you a story. I had a client back in the day. He used to be a personal trainer. He made people fit, right? And he would work with anybody who would come and sit down with him. He would say, yeah, I'll take you. I'll work with you. Problem was that, he didn't have a lot of clients because he'd work with just anybody who came his way. He had like 7 clients. He didn't charge a lot of money. He charged like $25, $30 an hour. He didn't make a lot of money. He had to get help from his mother and father to pay his rent. He was a young man. And then he started to work with us. And we said, look, you need to have, a very clear niche of people you go after. You need a message to how you help them. He goes, okay, I'll work with doctors. I think he only chose doctors because he thought they had money, right? So the doctors didn't really see what was the advantage to work with him. So they didn't work with him. And then he goes, okay, I'll work with cardiologists, heart specialists. And well, that didn't work out too much better for him. But then he met a man from Cuba who was a Paralympian, right? He had a missing leg from a childhood accident, right? This fellow. And he loved working with this guy. And he said, you know what? I think I want to work with people with missing limbs. And all of a sudden, in 6 weeks, he got 400 new clients. 400 new clients. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And he goes, yeah, these people want to work with me. And if you think about it, nobody was going after people with missing limbs. They didn't think they wanted to work out, right? But he went after them and he said, look, let's work out. We're going to make you strong. We're going to make you tough. We're going to make you healthy. And those people, they loved the message because it wasn't just about exercise. The message was about dignity. The message was about, hey, it doesn't matter that you have a missing limb or 2. You can be just as powerful, just as strong, just as vital physically as anybody else. That's a very powerful message. And that message struck home for those folks. And that's why they bought from him in such large numbers. And he went from being broke to making a couple $100,000 a year in just a few weeks.
Nicky, let me quickly ask you this question. Do you think that entrepreneurship is the solution to the world's unemployment crisis?
Absolutely. All jobs come from entrepreneurs. Governments don't make jobs. Governments take jobs from the private sector, right? And entrepreneurs are the ones who go out there and create the new jobs for people. If you look at the statistics around the world globally, all the new jobs, net new job creation is created by companies under 250 people. Those are the ones who are the engines driving the growth. Governments don't make those jobs. And the big companies, well, they're already established. They usually don't want to lose what they got. If anything, they keep the number of employees they have stable, or they even cut a few of those employees. And you can see that especially right now with the inflation around the world. That's what's happening in Europe and North America. Entrepreneurship is absolutely the solution to the world's unemployment crisis, but it's also the solution to the world's hope crisis. It's entrepreneurs who have the hope, the desire to go out there and make things happen. It's entrepreneurs that lift everybody up with a belief that, hey, This is the greatest time in the world to be alive, to make things happen. You know, one of my friends is an entrepreneur in Canada. His name is Brian Scudamore. He formed a company that's grown very fast. It's called 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They have a junk removal franchising business, and he's formed a few other franchise brands with it. And he always says that entrepreneurship is the cure to all society's problems, and this is the greatest time to be alive in history, because opportunities for entrepreneurship are real. Now, listen, it can also be a tough time to be alive if you don't have a good message, if you're not comfortable, serving people versus selling to people. Those are the things that can get in your way. But if you believe in yourself, if you believe in the majesty of your dream, anything is possible. Wonderful things are possible.
Absolutely. Now, entrepreneurs will love to scale up their business. And I think that this is a term that is on the lips of many, scaling up the business. So, Nicky, what is the difference between scaling your business and also growing your business? Now, another question is, when an entrepreneur is growing their business, but they are not scaling up. So, what is the problem, and what are the solutions or the strategies they can employ?
Well, like I was saying to you while we were speaking, right? Like you need to have a desire to serve rather than be focused on selling, right? Because if you have that mentality, that'll allow you to get out there and get the people to do business with you that ought to be doing business with you. Secondly, your message needs to be good. You can't be the same thing, all things to all people. You need to position yourself as the go-to expert inside your field. If you think about some big entrepreneurs, right? Like you think about Apple, right? Apple makes all these wonderful products. They make the Apple phone, the iPhone, they make the iPad, they make the iMac, the laptop. I'm doing this interview on an iMac with you right now. And right about 25 years ago, they were about the same size as another computer company called Dell Computers, run by a guy named Michael Dell, right? Both wonderful companies, made wonderful products. The focus of Dell Computers was on, hey, we make great computers. Computers are awesome. The computers we make are the most awesome computers. Come buy them from us. We give you good prices, good whatever. This is a feature and benefit way of focusing on the product. Everything was about the product. But you go to Apple, Apple's message was very different. If you see their advertising wasn't about the product. Their advertising was about their customer. They had this beautiful ad that they made when Steve Jobs came back 25 years ago in 1997. It was called Think Different. And it went something like this. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the visionaries, the round pegs in the square holes. They're not fond of rules and they don't respect the status quo, but they move the human race forward. That entire ad was about amazing entrepreneurs that had passion. And their message was, we believe that people with passion can change the world. And we have products to help these people with passion do what they do. That was it. Most of it was about the people. And that was what made Apple go 25 years later to, 400 billion in sales. And Dell went from 8 billion in sales to 80 billion. Now that's a good growth number, 80 billion, but it's not 400 billion. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between having a message that's a correct message focused on people and helping people. Just like this young man I told you about who was a personal trainer. And I have another story for you as well. And this is a story that is a powerful story of a fellow who helped people with relationship problems. This man helped people whose marriages were falling apart. And obviously he tried to save those marriages. And obviously that's a good and valuable thing, right? That he did. And he came to us. And, we found that he did good work, but he charged so little, people didn't respect him. You know what I mean? So we said, look, you need to increase your prices. And he's like, no, I can't increase my prices. I can't do it. People aren't going to buy. But we were persuasive and he increased his prices. He doubled them. And then he doubled them again. And all of a sudden he had 10 times as many clients at 4 times the price. So he went from struggling to make money to making a wonderful amount of money. And he was helping save lives and families. Because he was charging more, people respected his wisdom. And he got to save a whole lot more families from breaking up. And you imagine the cost of a breakup. Well, in North America, the cost of a breakup is $250,000 minimum financially, but you also have all the emotional pain and the pain that the children suffer and the long-term pain that kids suffer because they come from broken homes. So, that's the power and the beauty of entrepreneurship is you got to be clear on who you serve, why you serve them. You got to charge properly for what you do. And you got to let them know that you understand their problem and you understand how to solve it, because people won't buy from you unless they buy that the problem they're facing is real, that they want to solve it, and that you understand how to solve it.
Very important. That understanding is key. Thank you, Nicky, for your insight. Now, Nicky, your headline is that you are a thought leader. I want us to delve into thought leadership. There are some people out there who want to build a career in this regard, right? What are some of the things they need to start considering?
Well, we've been talking about it all show long, right? Number one is you need to have a clear message. You need to understand clearly who you help. You know what I mean? You need to look into your own expertise in your life and what you've been able to do to help yourself and other people. That's the sort of thing that has to be done. And, if you're not comfortable doing that yourself, you need to go and, find a guru, a mentor, someone like us who can help you figure all that out for yourself. That's what we do inside the programs that we run for people. And if you do that, you're going to be in a really, really good space, and you're going to be able to become a thought leader. I'll tell you another story. This is a really wonderful story. There was a woman who had been the head of the Canadian arm of a large multinational personal development organization that has been around since the late 1960s. And she brought someone in to work with her, and for some reason they weren't able to get along, and she left the company, and she was lost for about 18 months, unsure of what she was going to do next. So we started to work with her, and we started to help her see that she still had a passion for helping people who were in pain. She had a passion for helping business leaders who were facing emotional angst. But if you're a leader of a company, you can't just go to your employees and say, I'm facing troubles. You know what I mean? They're going to lose confidence in the company and in you. So she started to work with these folks. In the first month she worked with us, she made about $10,000 in revenue, which was wonderful for her. Then the second month she made $12,000. In the third month she made $18,000. And then in the fourth month, she really blew it up. She made $62,200. And this will become relevant in a moment. So a few months later, my son, who plays soccer, football, he went to a tournament in the city she lives in, which is about 5 hours away from my city. It's called Ottawa, her city. And they had a tournament. And so I called her up because she had a son the same age as my son's age. And I said, hey, my son and I were here in Ottawa for a tournament. Would you like to meet us when the tournament's over for lunch on our way out of the city? It'd be nice to have your son meet my son. And she said, yeah, that's nice. So we did that. And everybody had a nice time. And then we went back home. And a few weeks later, we were at one of our, branded thought leader immersion workshops. And she was there as well. She was one of our clients at that point in time. And this was the point where we were doing our up registration into the year-long mastermind program for the new people in the room. And I asked some of our members to come and talk about their experience. And so she said, sure, I'll come and talk about it. She jumped on the stage and she quickly started to cry. She got very emotional. And I, like any man who sees a woman crying, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Right? So, instantly she looked at me and she said, look, you didn't know this when you and your little son came to my home city to meet me and my little son. But my little son asked me, hey, mommy, who are we going to go meet? And I said, oh, we're going to go meet Nicky Billou and his son for lunch. And he looked at her and he said, oh, are we going to go meet the man who saved our family? And I looked at her and I started to cry. And she started to cry. We hugged and she said, you didn't know this, but I was about to lose my family. We were about to lose our home. We hadn't been able to pay our mortgage in a few months. My husband and I, we were having trouble. Our marriage was looking like it was going to break up. What you did literally helped us save our family. And, for me, that was very, very moving. And I thought to myself, I get up every day because I'm looking for someone like this woman to help. Who's the person who's going through some problems? Maybe they're not ready to share it, but that's why they're sitting in front of me. That's why God put them in front of me. And that's why I do what I do. And I think if you're in business, you need to have a really strong understanding of what is your why, what motivates you, what lifts your heart up. Because if you can do that, you're in good shape.
Right. That's an inspiring line you just shared, Nicky.
Thank you.
Of you. So quickly, as a roundup, I'd like us to talk about career transition. Now, this is becoming rife in the society today, especially this year of change that we are all facing. Now, what will make a person leave a really coveted job to work in something that is that has many unknowns? Like I'm talking about being an entrepreneur. What are some considerations that are very important to make in this regard?
You know, that was me over 20 years ago. For me, God gave me a nudge. He kicked me out of my last job, so I had no choice, you know, but to go and start something new. But if you're seriously considering being an entrepreneur, if that's a path you think is for you, I would look at why you want to do it, why it's important to you. I mean, for me, it was obvious. I wanted to create something that was mine. I didn't want to be part of someone else's vision. I wanted to have my own vision. I wanted to help other people with their vision, but I didn't want to be part of someone else's, vision. I wanted to have my own vision that I was creating out in the world. So I think those are important considerations. And obviously, you need to set yourself up. So if you have a family, you can't just quit. You have to set yourself up so that finances are taken care of. But if you have a dream and you believe in it, life is short. The time to act is always now. It's never someday in the future. It's always now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nicky Billou, for your incredible insight on today's show, talking about entrepreneurship, thought leadership, and also entrepreneurship and success. Do you have any projects in the pipeline that you would like to share with my audience?
Listen, if you are an entrepreneur and you are looking to take your business to another level, come to our website, ecircleacademy.com. There's a button there in the top right-hand corner that says book a success call, and let us know that you were listening to the show and that you're in business. Fill out an application form and let's have a conversation about what it's going to take your business to the next level. Because right now, the world is in a crazy place, and opportunities are there, but they're there if you're ready to seize them, and they're there if you're ready to get the right help. Because if you don't have the right help, you're not going to win. You know, that's what all these folks, these stories that I told you about, all these people, they had the foresight to find mentorship, our mentorship in this case. But you got to have someone to mentor you. If you don't know the path and you try to figure it out on your own, it's going to be pretty painful. Not impossible necessarily, but painful. And for a lot of people, impossible, because without a mentor, your chances are nowhere near as good. You know, I have this phrase I say, hashtag don't do it alone. Hashtag don't do the rest of 2022 alone.
Awesome. Any passing word you'd like to share?
I think, God bless you. Thank you for doing what you do with your show. Thank you for helping the people that you help. And if you're listening to the show, please support Omobola and all the good work that she does.
I'm humbled by that, Nicky. Thank you once again. So we'd like to have your social media and just on your website.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, go to ecircleacademy.com. That's the best place to get a hold of me, and click on that button in the top right-hand corner.
All right, we get to that. It's been an honor having you on the show today. Really had a wonderful time. I wish you the best of luck in all your endeavors, Nicky.
Thank you so much. Ditto. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you once again. So if you'd like to catch up any missed episodes of Live Well Lit, you can do so on any cross-promotion platforms you bump into or any distribution platforms you bump into, and do have a great time. Perhaps you'd like to be a guest on the show. You can reach me at omobolastephen.o@outlook.com. I'll be looking forward to your mail and connecting with you. Till I come your way, I need you to be good. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.